Hey everybody. This is a video that I got ready to go and was going to upload it. And I got to thinking maybe I should talk a little bit about this because I've always felt that there were several different reasons why this all happened to them. And I still think Kaylee found something out about where she was going to go work. I still believe that. And I've always believed that Ethan and Xana and Maddie, and Kaylee probably knew too because Maddie probably told her, but I don't know if Kaylee was around at the time when it happened. I'm pretty sure she wasn't. But I know Maddie was, and Xana and Ethan, when Hudson Lindau died. And I believe that they all know what happened, and it wasn't an accident. It wasn't an accidental drowning, in my opinion. And I think that could be the reasoning behind the deaths, because, first of all, Ethan wasn't hanging at the frat anymore. It wasn't where he was, and it was pretty known that he had kind of evacuated that area, and probably for reasons because he was not their kind. I don't think he had that kind of bone in his body. And Xana was obviously never really a sorority girl, in my opinion. I mean, she didn't. I don't think she ever really followed the rules. I mean, she wore the clothes like they did, and she did this, but she was not like the normal sorority girl. Like the oh my god. Like you can even tell in her comments on people's Instagrams that she's not, because the other girls are going, oh, you're so, oh my god, no, you're my bestie, oh my god, no, you're better. I mean, it's just the things that they say is just too sugary and just well, I mean, it might be half truth, but they're pretty much lies. I mean, they're just like beefing each other up the whole time. I mean, they all write exactly the same thing, just word it differently. And Xana never did that. Xana didn't write things like that. So I don't think she was ever really that kind of girl, the sorority type girl. Meaning, she floated her own boat. She played, her own, she walked to the beat of her own drum and that kind of stuff. And Maddie, I believe, kind of went with it for a while, and then she got tired of it, and I think she got tired of what was going on in that house, and became quite aware of what was happening and how deep it was, because I believe that house has been the hub, the house has been the eyeball, the stomach of that Greek row and the university for a very, very long time, probably since that house was born, meaning built. And it was in my opinion, used as like for hazings, for maybe quite possibly their meetings that they had, their secret meetings. I know they have a building normally that they have those in, but it could be that they bounce around. I mean, that could have been the secret building. You never know. And I definitely think that Maddie was not happy, and she was trying to move away from whatever was going on, and it wasn't happening because you can't do that. Once you pledge and once you are accepted, you have sworn to the code of silence. You're sworn to secrecy, and you're in a brotherhood and sisterhood now. And they were moving away from that. In fact, they were pretty much not in it at all, from what I could tell. At least for the last maybe 6 months, or I mean, not 6 months as of now, but 6 months prior to it happening, to their deaths. And I just feel in my heart that they knew what happened to Hudson, and that the fraternity did not, and the university, and the cops, police officers, did not want that getting out. And I think it was group effort, for lack of a better word, is a horrible thing. But I think they all got together and they did what they did, and it was a group, like I said, it was choreographed, it was planned, it was practiced. And when Kaylee talks about having a stalker, she probably had a lot of them. She probably felt like she was watched. If she's anything like me, like I can tell. I mean, I seriously know when I'm being watched and stuff, and especially since I have been what I refer to as under surveillance most of my life due to my family, and I'm not, and it's not over now. Even now, you know, so I get that feeling that she gets, you know, being watched, or being listened to, or being, you know, whatever. I believe she was correct in that, and it was probably numerous people. I mean, freaking Hunter for one. I mean, can you imagine? He lived right in that blue apartment building. His window faced, doing dishes. He could look right out that window, right to the back deck, and watch everything that was going on. You don't think he was watching him the whole time? I mean, Hunter was in that frat. Why was Hunter still there if he was graduated? That's a whole nother thing. So what was he there for? Was he the chosen one to keep an eye on them? Because he sure did keep a good eye on them. He was on their heels at all times. You guys saw that. I mean, it's in those, you know, in the noise complaint cams. I mean, literally, he might as well just be walking, you know, get a bigger pair of shoes, because he's pretty much walking with them in their own shoes. I mean, that's how close he was. And also, it's interesting to me, I'm kind of wondering if it was part of the, I don't know, I believe the noise complaint, that kind of stuff, those, when they show up there, who was there both times? Hunter and Emily. And they weren't at their house making noise. No, they were over there making noise. And the ones at the house that, you know, were there, you know, like Kaylee, and then, for instance, Xana, they're the ones that got in trouble for it. But it wasn't them doing it. It was Hunter. Why was Hunter doing that? Was that so the cops could come over and case the place? Get Kaylee's ID? Photographed and stuff? Is that why? Because they certainly didn't have to go there that time when they were called to the Adam and Jack's house over there, when those guys were, you know, making noise. They didn't have a call to go to 1122. They just took it upon themselves, because if these guys, you know, if we're called to get these guys a warning, we better give these guys a warning too. It's only fair. Well, is it only fair for you to stand in the backyard and make hand gestures at like where you're going to hide out, or where you're going to come in the dark, where you're going to do this, and how you're going to get up because there's no stairs to the back deck? Is that fair? Was it fair to take Kaylee's ID and take a picture of it? I mean, you don't even ask the frat boys for their ID. In fact, you guys didn't ask anybody except for the girls. That is actually quite disturbing. I mean, that's very, very disturbing. And you could tell Kaylee was disturbed. Kaylee, when she walked out that door, she wasn't disturbed at that point. She was disturbed prior to that, because you could see it on her face. And from what I understand, that was her first day to be in that house. And can you imagine the first day to be in that house, and you walk in on Hunter being there with freaking zip ties on his wrists because they're doing some type of hazing? Because that's what that house is used for. And it's not actually their house. It's all in her things I value. She lays it out right there. My own privacy, or however she puts it. My room, my privacy, my being alone. Because she probably was never alone. And being under surveillance also. And not only for just being in that house, and that house just being under the eye at all times. Because, I mean, how could it not be under you know, just constant surveillance? Because I bet you at any given moment that house was being watched for one reason or another. Because it was a useful house. They used it for everything, in my opinion. You know, who knows what else went on in that house? I'm sure not very good things. I mean, I had a dream about some things, and it wasn't per se a bad dream. It wasn't like a nightmare type dream, but the dream definitely connected some things. And I've been watching a bunch of videos from other fraternities and stuff, and yeah, there's some, and that's why they want to tear that house down, because though that house got secrets, man, that house got some big secrets, and they don't want it being found out. So the house is no longer of service to them, because the house has broken its own code of silence, so to speak. You know, it was, I'm sure, a target as well, but I mean, they were all targets, in my opinion. So you've got the frat boys in EcoShield that are now over there, you know, doing whatever they're doing with the EcoShield, and not always at the university, but could very well have been a part of those hazings. And I don't think it was just Hudson. I think it was, you know, Sam Martinez. It was, you know, it was just so many of them, you guys. It was all of them. I mean, I don't think Caden was for being, well, you never know. I don't think he was a hazing. I think he knew too much. I think he knew too much, and I think his thought pattern and stuff like that, he was kind of like Ethan. Like, I think he was a sensitive soul, and I think that they knew that, and they knew that he couldn't keep something like that in, or else. That's what I believe. I believe that they thought he was going to talk, and that's why he's gone. And plus, he was a journalist. I mean, you know, that's what you're trained to do. That's what you go to school for, is to talk, is to write down. And a conflict, you know, it's just crazy, because he also wrote about things like this. This is what he wrote. This was his studies. This was his interest, is writing about conflict and things like this, you know. And so, I mean, this would have been the story of all stories if he was still around, right? But they couldn't have that, because they didn't want this getting out. They still don't want this getting out. Nobody wants this getting out that is involved. And who is involved? The town. The university, number 1. The fraternities, right up there. Number 2, the law. 3, I mean, they're all involved. They're keeping it a secret, and that is why there was no call for 8 hours. Because not only did the frats and sororities go over there and help clean up, but I believe law enforcement was there as well. I mean, Scott might have even shown up, you know, worked for an hour or two. You never know. Yeah, I sound cold when I say that, because it makes me feel cold that they could do something like that to protect their livelihood, their golden ticket. I mean, whatever it is, to protect their brotherhood and their sisterhood, to protect the university, to protect the town. They need to just stop hazing, is what they need to do. And they wouldn't have these damn problems. Now, would they? They wouldn't have people dying because they fed them too much alcohol, or, you know, sat them in a ice bath for hours and hours, and also made them drink ice cold water, which, you know, I don't know if you guys know this, but in Japan, that's how they commit suicide. They just drink water after water after water. They just keep drinking water, and it depletes their electrolytes, and you can't live without those, and they die. That's how Japanese commit suicide. And it's gone, it's to the point. I mean, it's too far no matter what, when they're harming anybody, and when they're putting people in danger. I mean, yes, I'm sure there were some suicides. There are people that actually claimed in whatever, maybe I'm a letter form or whatever, or maybe talk with the family or something, that actually they knew that it was a suicide. But what was it? Why was it a suicide? Why did it happen? It happened because of hazing. It happened because they were being treated like they were, I mean, horrific things that they would make them do. And do you guys know it's just not 1 day, it's not 2 days. It's literally like 4 months long. And then sometimes they even go into the next year. Is it just because they like to be freaking mean? Because they get a kick out of it? Because it's kind of what it seems like to me. They're like they're just, I mean, they're sick is what they are. It's a sick thing. And for them to think things like that are funny, like I just watched this one video, and this kid, freshman, he wasn't moving. He peed himself. He lost all. He couldn't stand. He couldn't do anything. And they're laughing at him. And they're like basically kicking him to get him awake. They're doing all sorts of crap to him. And he was so over the top with alcohol poisoning that he was you may think someone's knows what's going on, but they don't. Like, literally, you are blinded by anything. Like, you really have no idea what is going on. You might seem like you're alert, or not alert, but there, but you're not. And at that point, you don't even hear things. You can't hear, you can't talk, you really can't see either. It's like they say, a blind drunk. That's what that is. And how I know this is because when I was in 8th grade, one of my first boyfriend, we were over at his house, and he was kind of a rebel, and I didn't know this at the time, but his parents were gone, and I'd never really drank alcohol. I mean, I'd had a taste of beer here and there, but nothing crazy. And they had like a liquor cabinet full of all sorts of stuff, but it was all Bailey's. It was all like kind of like mixing type things, not necessarily hard alcohol. I mean, that was there too, but anyway, he had a bunch of shots down on the counter, and I didn't realize, they tasted good. Like Bailey's and that kind of stuff. That doesn't really, it wasn't what I thought that alcohol would taste like, right? Anyway, obviously I had way too much because he was having to carry, like I couldn't walk, and he had to he knew he was in trouble. It was probably a mile from his house to my house, and we had to walk through this back field. And I remember seeing people. I remember seeing a flash going through my head about someone that I said hi to on the way, and then just falling down and being so just blinded. It was just weird. Like, I didn't see anything but like a flash of things every once in a while. And I kind of remember a couple different things, but nothing but in between those times, which it had to be at least 3 hours by the time he got me back to the house. And it was just a weird day at that particular day also, because walking down my road, when this new family just moved in the house like kitty corner from us, and there was cops and firemen everywhere because they had a chimney fire. And I remember seeing that and just, didn't even wave and blah. But that's how I know about how you feel with that. I was actually out for 3 days. I was literally out for 3 days. I was in bad shape. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't know I was out. I didn't know until I woke up, and still I didn't even know I was out. I didn't realize it had been that long. So it is very dangerous, and I'm lucky to be alive, really. Especially, the road road from his house to my house was a freeway. It was a two-way freeway. It wasn't, I'm not going to say boondocks, but it was, out of town. So, but it was a well traveled freeway, and it was 50 miles an hour on that freeway you could go to, or highway. It's not a freeway, but a highway. But anyway, so I just remember having, oh my God, I don't know how long I had a headache and it felt like crap for, but it was a long time. I mean, at least a good couple weeks probably. So anyway, I just think that this hazing stuff, the way that they do this, they're saying that they, within 40 minutes on some of these things, they have egged and, just constantly, like yelling at them to drink, that they will drink a fifth of alcohol within 40 minutes. That's like, wait, a pint. No, is that a fifth? That's 17 mixed. No, that's a that's a fifth. 17 mixed drinks in 40 minutes. And that's hard alcohol. That's not like beer. That is 8 times the legal limit. 8 times over the limit. Like 8 times? Yeah, 8. Yeah. Oh, it's horrible. It's and actually, I think it's at, what is it, 4.400, and no, 8 at 0.800 is what you would be after you drank that. So get this, at 0.400 causes death, and some of these fraternity guys are at 8, not 4 but 8. That is crazy that the university knows this is happening. And they do this to weed out the weak ones. Well, my God. That just is mind-boggling. Oh, so you got to be able to drink alcohol and be able to function on it and not die? And that makes you strong? That's not how that works. I mean, for Christ's sakes, even the people that did survive these types of things, what if that type of alcoholism ran in their family, and what if they just damaged these people for the rest of their lives? Now they're full-blown alcoholics because of that. Because all it takes is that one incident, and sometimes that happens. But someone who literally has it run in their family, things like that. It's just it's so damning and damaging what could entail from something like that, and what has come by doing that kind of thing, and there's no repercussions. So how many times, now I'm curious here, with the amount of people that have died at that university, suicides, within the 4 years. So there's the college, they go for 4 years, right? 4 years in school. How many of those same guys were involved in the deaths of those hazings? Yeah, makes you kind of think about, maybe they were trying to shut some people up, and maybe that's how they did it. What if that weapon was actually one of the weapons in the pictures that they always take pictures of, where they have the swords and stuff? Sometimes they're full, sometimes they're daggers, sometimes they're swords, sometimes they're, I don't know, sometimes they look a little fake, but I've heard that they're real, like they're actually real. And they all take pictures with them. They all have them up on the walls of the fraternity. I wonder if the university checked any of those swords hanging on the walls. I would bet you $1 million they didn't. Because you know what? They're trying to make us believe that someone went in there with a K-bar and a Dickies onesie and a COVID freaking mask in a house that they didn't even know the layout of it, and did these in 8 minutes, and then left a sheath there under a quilt under Maddie that had no blood on it, but just trace DNA in the snap, but no blood. In a house that they say was so saturated with blood, it was everywhere. To the point where it was leaking out to the side of the house to the outside of the house. And you're going to tell me that sheath had no blood on it? Under a body, under a quilt? And then he drove off, left no trail, no blood trail, after killing 4 people brutally, some of them more than others, and just walked out of the house, leaving no blood trail, nothing anywhere, not a trace, and drove off, and then decided to come back around 9, kind of, peek in, drive down the road and see what's going on. Yeah. And then, decided, why clean his car? If he's a murderer, man, I don't need to clean my car. There's nothing in it. But then he drives, I don't know how many miles it is, but across the states. I'm sure his car was pretty filthy after that, and goes to clean it, and he gets chastised for washing his car. So they take his car in. They even take the seatbelts all the way out. They just remember the car is taken apart. Nothing. Anyone who seriously can say that they find that BK is guilty is crazy. In my mind, I don't even get where they're even getting that from. I seriously don't. I cannot even fathom someone could think that. And then I hear people say, talk about the PCA and stuff, and about, well, this is real. They say, this is what happened. There was a door opener, or that this was open, and I'm like, how can you even believe what anything is said in that? Because they've lied to us so many times. Someone on that, I posted that timeline that Lena did, and she did it quite a while ago. Several months ago, maybe even, probably 8 or 9 months ago. And she was reading right from the actual, from the police reports. And someone I saw commented on there, I can't believe a word she said. She doesn't even know she doesn't even know about who went to the party or something like that with another person, or Maddie and Kaylee didn't go to the party together or something like that. And I'm thinking, I didn't comment yet because it came up just popped up in my notifications, so I haven't even actually looked at the comments yet. But I got to thinking, this is how bad Ellie has screwed everybody up, because she was reading it verbatim. That was what the timeline was. That was what they said. She was reading it from their own site. And he thought, or she, or whoever it was, thought she was wrong. I can't listen to her. She's wrong. I'm just like, wow. Because we don't know, because we've been told so many different things. And so how could someone say, I'm trying to remember what I heard someone say something about, something with the PCA in it. Anyway, and they're saying, well, because we know that to be true because it was written in there, right? I just think to myself, oh my God, how can? The whole thing's written so wanky anyway that it could be anything. Like their wording, it could be not what they're trying to get across, because they worded it in a way that it could be something totally different if they wanted to change their mind again. But that's not what we said. This is how we wrote it. Oh, we just, oh, you didn't read it that way. Blah, blah, blah. That's how I feel about that. So you think about all these fraternities in there, and think about who gets into fraternities. Who are the type of people that go and get into fraternities? Well, you got sports, right? You got a lot of your athletes, big time, a lot of them. You've got a lot of, all of the judges' kids and the all the doctors and the lawyers and stuff like that. All their kids are going to be in fraternities. Dang straight that's going to be true. So they're protected right there, right? So, and then the athletes, they're the ones that keep that school going. They're the ones that bring in the money in the team when they, the games are on. They're the ones that win them awards to where they can put them on their walls and in their libraries and in their, on their desks or whatever they do with them. They're the ones that get in the news and get the kudos and get more, which more kids see that are, graduating from high school and then look into other schools and look into that school to go, to enroll. It gets the word out there. So what happens when it's the athletes that are committing these hazings? What happens when those athletes go down? Because they've been doing some bad things, like killing people. Maybe not on purpose. I mean, not all the time. I mean, this time definitely with these 4, it was definitely on purpose. There's no doubt in my mind. But, you'd think that if it happened one time and someone dies, might not be exactly the same circumstances, but let's say it involves alcohol, and it happens to one person and they pass away. What? I can maybe, circumstances depends on circumstances, of course, but maybe let that pass depending on, like I said, how it went down and all that kind of stuff. Because there's definitely, you cross a line big time on that, and just it's a fine line. But the second time, knowing what they know, what they've already gone through, oh hell no. But look, after the second time, what are they getting? They're just putting notches in their belts? What are they doing? Is a university breeding murderers? Elite murderers? Entitled murderers? Narcissistic murderers? Because pretty much all murderers probably are, aren't they? Pretty soon, how many murders does it take to be a serial killer? Is there such a number? I don't know. What type of murder would this fall under, do you think? Like, would it be your ritualistic murder, your took one for the guys murderer, took one for the house, they made me do it type murder? What? I didn't know. Wasn't my fault. I wasn't there. No. A murder is a murder. Like I said, there's circumstances that would, change, certain things, but, when it comes to stuff like that, when you're not a kid anymore, you're not like 10 or 12, you're freaking in college. For certain, I would hope they'd know better than that. For God's sakes, I hope. So here's this code of silence. And it must be a pretty strong, locked up code of silence, because not only are the fraternities silent, but so are the sororities and people in that town. But it's becoming an issue because you can see it in the police reports that it is affecting that town. It is affecting the people in that town. And I'm not saying that none of those were actually suicides. Could very well be. Think about this. Think about this. If the people that are actually having suicidal tendencies right now are people that know about what happened and are being threatened, are being watched now, to make sure they don't talk, seeing where they're going, who they talk to, and maybe they're not telling anybody anything, but now you got paranoid killers out there, right? You got paranoid killers, I'm not saying he is, but that hang out at the school even though they've graduated and still join in with the hazings. Maybe even they're ahead of them, who knows? But this is taking people down. And there's going to be something's going to implode. I mean, something's going to happen, because I just feel like it just is like this. It's like this rumbling under the ground, like these fumes, this vapor just getting hotter and hotter and getting more rumbly, and it's starting to not feel comfortable or in the space that it's in. Like it needs to escape. And I know this has been going on for years over there. I do know that. And you can see it there's a pattern. There's definitely a pattern. Big time. And I've been reading these police reports long enough to see that pattern and know that it's that time of year right now. It's that time of year. And looking back on the police reports, this time of year last year, things like this started happening too. Things were escalating. Things were malicious and were reckless, and they were, like rampages of kids just doing crazy stuff, and car accidents all the time, and harassing people, frauds. I mean, you name it. It was going on last year, same time. And there's only, 11 more days until the 13th. Now, this video that I'm going to play you, I didn't notice it until the video was over. And it was like, whoa. But the date on this video was 11/13/19. I thought that was so weird. Very weird. But this little piece came from a longer video, and I'm going to try to play that whole. Everybody needs to see this entire video. It is just so chock full of what I see is exactly what happened here. Not exactly, because nothing can be exactly, but the cover-up, because they were told to cover it up. They were told not to call the hospitals or anything. They were told. They were given instructions. And due to signing and taking this pledge and this code of whatever you're going to do, they did what they were told. And since they did what they were told, they were protected. They are protected. And they were helped too. You don't think those kids went in there and cleaned that all up themselves? Oh my God, no. How would they know how to do that? That had to be professional in there doing that. unless there's all sorts of stuff in that house they're just lying about it, and it's all still in there, and they're just lying about it, which also could be true. I mean, hands down, that could be true. But to not have any other DNA except for found in that house except for 2 male sources and 1 outside, just the people alone that lived there would have been more DNAs. More DNAs. I mean, but then they had a party like the night before, 150 people. I don't know. I've never seen pictures of that party, so I don't know. But even the day before, and the amount of people that were in and out, just the noise complaints alone that we've seen. Look at the amount of people that have been there. And you don't think they're going to wipe all those surfaces, and that DNA is not going to be somewhere in that house. Fuck. God. And the ladder. Let's talk about that ladder. What's law enforcement doing? Why is that ladder still there? I feel like it's there to just kick us in the face. Just slap it in the face. Oh, because we can. How long does a ladder have to sit outside and be rained and snowed upon and the sunshine on it to no longer have DNA on it? I don't know. Do you guys know? I mean, you'd think it would get in the grooves of the, the rungs and things like that, and up underneath, so, it would kind of protect it a little bit from the weather. But, it's been touched in all sorts of stuff because they wrapped freaking crime scene tape around it. I mean, it's their crime scene tape, catch-all. I mean, it's how they keep the tape up there around the house. I'm curious if that ladder's still there right now. I bet you. What do you bet? That this isn't a perfect time for them to, just nonchalantly, that ladder just disappears because of, the FBI being in there and doing what they're doing. What do you bet that ladder's not going to be there much longer, or if maybe it's not even there now? What a nice distraction to sneak it on out of there. They think we're stupid. They think we're freaking stupid. We're not. You don't even have to. I mean, I'm not a crime buff. Never have been. I mean, I've watched it. I mean, of course, I watch all that kind of stuff, but I've never joined in with groups or anything like that. This is my first, really. I mean, I did a little bit on the Kylie Rodney, but nothing like this. So I know that there's people out there that have to, even that don't know anything about it, have got to look at this and say, what's going on? This is just weird. I mean, there's always, there's people that know a lot, there's people that know medium, there's people, some that don't know anything at all. But even coming into that and hearing just the bare minimal, you'd have to kind of think, oh, this is weird. Doesn't seem right. And, I wonder also if this could be a possibility. You have got so many players in the game that you really can't pinpoint who is who, because there's so many involved. How do you tack it down? How do you pinpoint this one? Oh no, you just blame it on one guy who goes to a different school, doesn't even know any of these people? Oh my gosh, someone thinks we are so stupid. Someone didn't think this was going to blow up like it did. One hazing here and one hazing there, one death here and one death there, one suicide here, one suicide there. Maybe people look the other way, but this is not what happened, and I would not have looked the other way. They scrubbed things before we even got to even see. There's no information out there. There's that one guy that I don't think anybody really knows his name. I found his name, but it took me a long time to find his name, and he was the one that Wazoo, who they said was found hung out one of the dorms. And Pullman police, man, they screwed up big time on that. It was all over the news that nobody was saying what happened. They were not given the information. Well, Pullman police wrote it in their freaking report. I saw it in their report. I mean, a day, like that same day, like how Moscow, like the MPD will put, like if you go in for like one day and then it's not the full day's not there, but there'll be a couple reports in there. That's what Pullman did. They had written it in there, and the day wasn't even over yet. But the news wasn't giving it out. You weren't finding it on any type of, if you Googled it, you weren't finding it there, but it was in the Pullman police reports. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe the just the carelessness. I mean, his family couldn't even have been contacted by then. Just no concern for human life at all, it seems. Well, what's one more death, We're going to have, 10-fold come back, 10 times more coming back next year. We'll have 10, more. There'll always be another student here. But always, there's always a disposable one. God. Disgusting. Okay, I'm going to play this video because I can't believe I just talked this long. I was not planning on this, but then again, I never do plan on it, and I just kind of let loose. So I'm going to play this video for you, and hopefully this actually takes, because I don't know how much room I had on here, so I better hurry up. Okay, hold on. Okay, play.
So the code of silence is something that I think human beings know. Even 4-year-olds know. When the teacher suddenly turns out the lights and says, "Who did that?" everybody is quiet. They kind of know not to tell the authority figure. And that kind of inbreeding between who's going to be reporting it and who you're calling and how safe are you and what is really anonymous is part of why we don't tell and why hazing doesn't get reported. And everybody is more concerned about saving their own ass than they are about taking care of the person who could be saved at that moment. In
SAE, in my fraternity, the number one rule was, you must protect the house. But like in the case with Noone, I mean, his pledge brothers seem to be prioritizing their allegiance to an organization that they're barely a part of for a short period of time over the life of a fellow human being, that they knew.
That guy seems stupid to me. Just the way he said that. He wrote a book on that apparently too. Anyway, I'm going to let this go. And thanks for watching. Hey, hit that like button if you like it. I'm noticing that I get a lot of views, but I don't get a lot of people liking on it. So, I mean, I'm wondering, why are you viewing it if you don't like it? I mean, it shows in my analytics that people are watching like the whole, like most all of it. So, I don't know. You'd seem, anyway, just if you like it, please hit the like button because it really does help me. And I don't ever say this. This is like the second time I think I said it on a video. But I'm going to start saying it if I remember. I barely remembered this time. So thanks for watching. Thanks for hitting the like button. Thanks for subscribing, all that good stuff. I appreciate all of you. Thanks.